What is up, everyone? Welcome to another edition of Live Locks, where I'm going to be breaking down my bets from the prior show, my bets for this show, what I like today in NBA and Boost across all different sites. I've done all the research. I've looked through things. I know what's going on, and I'm sharing with you exactly what I'm betting. And I'm joined by a guy who I'm on Slack with most of the day, every single day, talking bets. Jordan Davis, aka Smartwater. How you doing over there, buddy?
I'm doing well. Yes, we talk. Your is it fiance, wife? I can't remember. Fiance.
Fiance. I say wife every time.
That's
Fiance just sounds so pretentious.
yeah, it does. But we probably talk more than you talk to her, and that's okay. But it might not be okay to her, but we're here trying to make money, and I would have to say that we do a pretty damn good job of making money sports betting. So
Yeah. Yeah, ever since we've been talking, it's definitely gone well. It's paid for this house I'm in. Pretty much
and
entirely paid for the
And
house
to be
over the
fair,
last 6 months.
I am building a house based on a lot of gambling winnings. So we're both in that same ballpark. So congrats on that as well.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, no, congrats on the new house. And yeah, anything you guys want us to show you, anything you guys want us to go through, anything you want to see on the show in the future, just go ahead and drop it there in the comment section. We'll try and update it in the future. We'll do what we can. But yeah, we're gonna dissect the day I had on Friday or on Monday, which did not go well. Dinwiddie blowout, missed by one. Plumlee blowout, missed by like three PR, like one bucket, one rebound. Mitch Robb hit in the first quarter. Dinwiddie, that wasn't even close. KCP, I think he was like, it was a blowout, and he got one assist at the very like last play before he got yanked out of the game. And then, Bruce. Like, there's not really much insight. It's just checking out the numbers. But yeah, lost a few $100s, but that's pretty much it. We'll get rid of those and go to the bets we have today. Let's see, Bill Thomas. Why does it seem DK has the worst odds out of all the sports? Because you're just looking at certain bets. Like, we look at the bets I have today. 3 of them are DK has the best odds. 6 of them are FanDuel. 3 of them are Bet Rivers. So there's basically like 4 different systems. Caesars has their own system. FanDuel has their own system. DK has their own system. And then generally you see the same player props on, what is it? It's Barstool, Rivers, and what's the third one?
Twinspires.
Yeah, Twinspire. So they all kind of use the same system, and it's different every single day. Like, certain books adjust more for different things. So I on the scores and odds table, like, it always tells you where on the prop shopping tool always tells you where the best lines are at. And I mean, yeah, you see these ones like FanDuel, DraftKings, PointsBet, Caesars.
Well,
Like,
can we touch on that for a second though? Because I think that's the way of looking at it is not do they have like the best and worst lines. There's definitely companies like DraftKings and FanDuel that I believe that do the best job of updating the fastest. I don't know if you agree, but they're some of the better books that update to news way faster than, for example, WinBet or TwinSpires. I often, or BetMGM, they can sometimes be insanely slow to where I'm blown away that those lines are still up. I actually think that DraftKings, so books all have different models. DraftKings is some of the better ones in the sense of they put out their lines first. So a lot of the time, or earlier on, so a lot of the times you can get better odds and bets early in the mornings on sites like DraftKings and FanDuel because they put their lines out first. So if you hop in there, but then they're so much faster at actually updating their lines to sharper lines to where the other books aren't. Throughout the day, I actually think that Caesars tends to be one of the worst at updating, and you and I always are like, you can just see we're comparing all of the books trying to find the different line, and Caesars almost always has a line that's just like blown, is like plus 110 when all the other books are minus 125 or something like that, and I don't think people quite realize the difference between taking a bet at minus 120 and minus 110 and just what that does to your actual overall winning percentage.
Yeah, no, people don't get that a lot of times. And it's like, if you're taking the worst line every single time compared to the best line, if you take the best line and you have a 5.5% ROI, which is kind of what I shoot for. That's kind of where I've been pretty much during NBA season, is 5.5% ROI, which doesn't seem like much, but based off of volume, the amount of bets I get in, like baseball, I had like a 20% ROI for pitcher props, which is I ran so hot, and it was just ridiculous.
You also
I only had like two or three.
We still work with them. You can plug it. we can thank Derek Carty in the bat, because I mean that is also
the starting point for baseball is Derek Carty in the bat. The starting point for basketball is RG projections every single day. Whether I fully agree or not is irrelevant. Like it's just where I start almost every single time. The projections I trust the most. And if you're not looking at projections, you're probably doing something wrong and realize this number is actually wrong. There we go. It's 36. But yeah, no, it's in DK. You mentioned having the earliest lines, like literally last night. So I bet DeRozan last night over 28.5 at -110, and it's already moved to -118 over on FanDuel, -120 over on DraftKings. So it came out first, and the line was 28.5. I got it -110. I put this up here for FanDuel because that's currently the best line at -118, because I'm trying to give you guys what the closest line is for during this show. But yeah, like DraftKings comes out the night before. My favorite is during baseball season. I'll sometimes wake up or still be awake at 5 a.m. and just hammer pitcher props that are clearly awful. And they adjust throughout the day. And sometimes I've had pitcher props move all the way from 2.5 to 4.5 from when I put them in at 5 in the morning to when I woke up after putting them in at 5 in the morning. So yeah, it's definitely an interesting thing to kind of watch and see where they end up moving. But DK generally has lines out first because they're trying to get more people on their site. They're trying to get the people that want to bet early on. And so, yeah, it's generally a spot where you can get pretty good lines there.
Competition is just great for us, the consumer, right? Yeah. I mean, the competition part with the different lines, with all of that. So one thing, with a quick note on that, I will say, just a warning to everyone, I'm sure you'll agree with me, betting on NBA props the night before is definitely a lot riskier than, let's just say, a player prop, like a pitcher prop in the morning. Let's just say they put in a bunch of lefties or something. That will impact the line, but it's probably not going to as much as this person sitting or whatever. I mean, we definitely have that going in NBA a lot more, but that still doesn't mean that there's not plenty of value the day before. And just keep in mind that you're going to get really good lines sometimes, and you're going to get completely screwed on some of your bets, and that's okay. You know, like, and just be okay with that, and understanding that as long as if you're beating the closing line value, the CLV, you're going to make money in the long run. So that's it's there's a little bit more risk in NBA, but it's still very profitable in my opinion.
Yeah, no, and the biggest run I ever went on for basketball was actually when everyone was going into COVID protocols every day. I think it was, what was it, November?
This the past 2 years have all just kind of condensed into one, so I'm not the guy to ask.
I think it was, November or December, and like everyone was getting ruled out every single day. So the night before, all I would bet is overs. Like that month I took probably 3 unders the entire time, and it was just ridiculously profitable. I made so much money because every single day, like, you bet on the Nets, and all of a sudden you have the over on Kyrie and Durant because the lines are slightly off, and Kyrie or Durant gets ruled out, or Harden gets ruled out, and boom, you immediately have a line that's 4 or 5 points too low. But let's just go ahead and break right into this. I'm going to start off. I bet Rutgers +3.5. I don't really know NCAA too well, but I was checking. Pinnacle had a different line over there, and I just bet that because people wanted some NCAA picks, so I did a little research. This is the only one I like, so I don't know if the line's still sitting at that, but Rutgers +3.5. Actually, we can check here. NCAA basketball. Let's see if the lines move. No, the line's still sitting at -3.5. No, it's -3. So it's dropped down a little bit, and it got all the way down to 2.5. So not the worst thing in the world at +3.5, +3, although it's -114. So I got some decent line movement on that one. I'm going to go over a few football ones for right now. I'm sure we'll go over them again on Friday, but the 3 that I had bet is Joe Burrow under 36.5 passing attempts over on DK. Cam Akers, who 3 of the last 4 games since he's gone back, he's had 3+ receptions. Over 15.5 receiving yards. He has 30, 40, 10, and 3, I think, in the last 4 games. But I expect them to use him pretty heavily in the passing game. You can get that one over on Caesars. And then Cooper Kupp, longest reception, 29.5. I think he's hit that at a 65% clip this year. Just seems a little bit too low. He's going to be heavily utilized in the Super Bowl. So those are my Super Bowl bets there. But let's get into basketball. And do you want to start off giving us one or two? I'm sure you have a few agreements with me. I think you sent them over to me earlier on in the day.
Yeah, I mean, I have them all just kind of written down. I usually do my sheet later in the day just because I like it to be more final, and then I use pen and paper before that. There was also just a trade, but doesn't look a 3-team trade doesn't look like anything too massive for like today or anything like that.
I mean, the Jazz are getting rid of Elijah Hughes is the only guy that's really and Satoransky wasn't going to play. Like, Ncaa is probably a pretty decent pickup. There's clearly a salary dump of Joe Ingles, who's out for the season. So that's not going to affect anything today. But yeah, the first bet you got is Mitchell over 25.5 points. And
well, hold on. The first bet that I recommend to everyone that I have on every site that I hit up Meansy. As soon as I woke up this morning, I was like, you have to explain this one to me. And he's like, I'm writing it up after looking to it. Was Podol over 11.5 points. You know me. I have been ringing the Podol bell to you in Slack for the past month. And you and I have just been smashing him. I think he got what, all the way up to 14.5, 16. I mean, one day recently, it was pretty high, and then he actually ended up getting hurt that day. But he went for 7 points in 12 minutes before he got hurt. This line simply doesn't make any sense. I don't know if they're just giving so much credit to the Cleveland front court. I don't care if you watch any of the Spurs games over the last month or so. He has a huge role in the team. I mean, it's that simple. The offense runs a lot through him. If you look at his plus minus, he's awesome. When he's on the court, they do very well. So that at 11.5, I think our RG projections had closer to 15 or so. Was just a must hit for me. I think it's probably 12.5, maybe even higher now at most places. I definitely don't think it's at 11.5, but I don't know about you, I'm still very bullish on it at 12.5. Some places I'm seeing 12.5 with plus odds. I think if you're getting plus odds at 12.5, it's still a very profitable bet. With that being said, I also took him at 23.5 PRA. Rebounding, we have him at over 10 rebounds. He usually adds in 2 to 4 assists a day. So, I mean, the 23.5 just seemed like a no-brainer to me. And as someone who gets heavily limited on my bets, I kind of have to use things like PRA to try to get more exposure to a certain bet. But yeah, I think the 11.5 was just an absolute no-brainer.
Yeah, I just placed some bets here. I actually just placed. I'm doing it while we're on air.
These look like some alt lines on FanDuel or something.
Yeah, Podol over or 15 plus points and Podol 20 plus points. Yeah. I put a half unit and slightly under a half unit on them. Let's see, 444. So yeah, plus 196. And then Podol.
And anytime I'm on Meansy's side, I feel like I'm on the sharp side. So once he got, I already bet it, but once he gave the stamp of approval, I feel very good about that. So again, do you agree? Anything, if you see 12.5, I still think it's a bet. If you see plus odds, I think it's very profitable. I've actually even considered getting more action at 12.5 if I see plus odds. That's how much I like it, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, he's been hitting 15, 20 on a pretty consistent basis. And yes, it's a tough matchup going up against Cleveland, but I don't care. Like, they need his height in there as much as possible.
I was going to say, all the more reason. I mean, they have two talented big guys, and you have bets on one of them and one that I'm considering. But the other guy that you mentioned was Mitchell. And I think at this point in the season, one thing that I'm much more careful about, maybe it's a leak, maybe it's slight EV, just blowouts. I mean, they're so hard to predict in the NBA, and they could be so tilting, down 30 at halftime. I mean, you see stuff like that. So the games that are a lot closer that I think are going to be competitive, now that doesn't mean that they actually will be, I tend to focus a lot more on and try to get more action in those. So this Utah game, I'm pretty bullish on staying pretty close. And Mitchell at 25.5, The dude, he was out with a concussion, so I'm not worried about the back-to-back, all conditioning and all of that. He should have been able to do that. Young dude, just extremely talented. So I have Mitchell at 25.5 over. I think I got that at minus 105 or plus 100 earlier in the day. And then I also have 34.5 on him for PRA.
Yeah. No, I think I haven't bet the PRA, but I may end up betting that at some point soon. And yeah, you bring up a really good point, which is going to bring me over to the Chicago Charlotte game where they were a pick'em last night. Chicago's now sitting at a 1.5 point favorite.
Yep.
Shout out to Stevie saying that he liked him as a Chicago side as a pick'em last night. And I have DeRozan over 28.5 points. I have Miles Bridges over 20.5 points. I have Bridges over 1.5 threes. I have Levine over 24.5 points. And I have LaMelo over 7.5 assists, which that's one of my favorites. Sitting at minus 123 over on Bet Rivers right now. Absolutely fantastic odds. Sitting at like closer to minus 160 on most other sites. If you're in a non-legal state, Monkey Knife Fight, they're whatever it's called, they're more or less has LaMelo Ball sitting at 7.5. So just huge positive EV here, betting him at minus 127 as opposed to minus 150 at 160 ads on other spots. So, like, I'm very heavy on this game. I mean, Charlotte runs at a massive pace. Chicago, without, like, Caruso, without a lot of guys in there, they're pretty solid defensively. Their defense hasn't looked good, and they've been in much higher scoring games. So, like, I think that both DeRozan and Levine will end up hitting, but I pretty much know that one of these two guys is going to hit. And then Bridges, like, 20.5 without Hayward in there is just too low. 1.5 threes, like he's going to be chucking from behind the arc a decent amount. I like all those things, so I'm pretty heavy on all those. Are you with me on any of those bets? I see you have Bridges over 3.5 assists.
Yeah, I mean, if you just look at the usage of Bridges over the recently, I just think that it's a smash. Pinnacle strongly agreed. He has smashed on it a lot. I mean, even when LaMelo you know me, I was tilting last time. LaMelo played, 45 minutes. I hit his PRA. That was at like 29.5, 30.5, and he didn't hit it. But, I mean, dude, this game opened up at like 230. It's sitting at 237.5, 238 in some places. I mean, that's just insane. So this is a game that's projected to be, a closer game. Massive total, two teams that just want to run. When you have guys like Levine on one side and LaMelo on the other, you're going to get a high-paced game. I love that. So, yeah, I have Bridges 3.5. I love the Levine. We just saw him go off. He's a streaky player, so I love seeing him just have a big game last game. I know that that's like kind of a narrative, but I love it. DeRozan, you can't lose money betting on his overs in the past month. I mean, I think he's probably hit them at a 90% clip, sitting right around this number. So I can never fault you. That doesn't mean that he's going to hit today, but I think that him sitting at in the higher 20s just seems to be super profitable. So I don't see any difference today. I'm trying to think of a few other things. I haven't looked at the LaMelo thing yet. I'm looking at it right now. I see that Pinnacle has his over at minus 155, and I see other sites like Twin Spires, DraftKings sits at 167, 155, and on Caesars and BetMGM, you're getting that at minus 135. So I think there's tons of value there on the LaMelo. So if you like it, then that's all I need to see, and Pinnacle agrees with you there in a game that's just massive. So I would recommend the Bridges one, 3.5 assists as well. But yeah.
So someone asked in chat, DeRozan over 30 points, 5+ rebounds, 5+ assists, boosted to 240 on DK. No, don't take it. Over on FanDuel, you can set up that exact same game parlay. You get it plus 253. So that's like looking at boosts. You always want to cross-reference it with another site. Better off doing it with multiple sites, but you always want to cross-reference it with another site. So I would say don't take that. And then Donovan Mitchell over 4.5 assists. We currently have projected 5.35. Slight value here considering the juice is at minus 134. I don't hate it. I don't love it. Probably moderately EV. Don't take that boost there. Like always cross-reference it with another site. Just going to go through a few more bets. Jarrett Allen over 14.5 points. I think that RG has him projected for well over that, if I remember correctly.
16.46.
16.5. So 2 points off, and I got minus 110 juice. Total where I went through, I'm right there with you. I didn't know.
Really fast in that game. What are your thoughts? The one that I have circled that I haven't bet yet, Allen, 11.5 rebounds. That might seem like a lot. Past 2 games, I think he's at like 22, 21, and 17. He's definitely smashed that number recently in the past as well. The past 2 games have been insane. I'm not saying that he'll go over that, but also Goodwin just might miss, which he's a decent rebounding guard and all of that. Which if he misses, Rondo just had a big game where Goodwin only played about 15 minutes and Rondo really. So you could see just a random Rondo game here as well. So that's something that could be interesting if props are still out there. But any thoughts? I'm not saying it's a good bet. It's just one that I saw recently that 11.5 I was interested in.
I mean, he's crushed the last 2 games, 17 and 22. That was against Charlotte and Indy. San Antonio is a much better rebounding team. Like we see, he's pretty inconsistent. He's been coming into this game in great form. I'm not a huge fan of it. I mean, if you want to get more money on that, like I'd probably go the over on points plus rebounds. So I'm not really sold on the rebound. I think it's probably, wouldn't say it's negative EV, but it's not really much positive. It's right where the line should be.
Yeah, these are both very good rebounding teams, and the 9th and 10th best rebounding teams according to what I'm looking at here. So I definitely I don't know if there was a lot of value. That wasn't one I don't have bet yet. That I had question for you that I thought I would save for the show. So if you don't have a strong lean, then I'll probably just pass. But I thought that made the list of potentials.
Yeah, and we probably should mention you're writing up an odds boost article on Scores and Odds. I'm dropping it into chat right now. So it's just real simple. Actually, I think we can just go to it.
I sent you the link in Slack. I'll just really quick touch on it. I don't want to. You and I talked that I want this show to be a little bit more educational. It's just bets, just how you and I think. Is there any way? Can you make that like not zoom in as much, just so they can see more of it at one time? Thanks. So the point of this article is I don't care how much money you play, if you're up to Grant's level or not. Even Grant, him and I talk boosts in promotion. You should be looking for any opportunity you can at plus EV spots. I don't care. And every day there's hundreds and hundreds of dollars in very profitable boosts and bets that you can do. So this is an article, very simple. I want it to be a 2-minute read for somebody. I broke it up into 3 different places. If you go more to the top, there is must bets, which I don't have. No, sorry, you were there, just not the top of it. Yep, keep going right there. Must bets. There's none that I saw that were just like, oh my god, that were amazing for today. There were 2 plus EV bets for sure. This super boost one for golf. I did the math. I mean, the 3 players are at 750 minus 600 minus 600. So that comes out to with the VIG about minus 184, and you're getting it at plus 130. I think that I don't know anything about golf, so I'm not here to I don't care about knowing about golf. The math is definitely there. So I think that one is fine. And then also this one is close to a must play, in my opinion. I hit it yesterday. 3 of the 4 of mine hit, so I just simply got my money back. So these ones are great. They offer them almost all the time. These parlay insurance promos you and I talk about a lot. And I mean, they're not the ones to where if you lose, you get your bet back up to 10. Those are must bets. Tomorrow, TNT Thursdays on FanDuel, that will be a must bet. They have a $10 one, and you might think that $10 isn't a lot, but you can absolutely turn that into a shit ton of money. So this one, and the way to do like these, this one, for example, the NCAA one, is that you can't have a bet that's more than 200. So you look for 4 teams that are very close to the minus 200. You get, plus 400, or you have to be plus.
So I have mine up there. Stony Brook is minus 192. Jacksonville's minus 184. Drake's minus 166, and Loyola Chicago's at minus 194. So I already bet this today. So it's sitting at plus 470. And I already put it on the board. Yeah, if one misses, which the most likely outcome with betting 4 minus 200 favorites, I haven't run the numbers, but I think the most likely outcome is actually missing 1 out of 4. So I think whatever it is, 20% of the time it's going to hit all 4. Like 25% of the time it's going to hit 3 out of 4. 20% of the time it's going to hit 1 out of 4, and then whatever it is. But yeah, you're going to get your money back 25% of the time or more than that, and you're going to win 20% of the time. So long run, if you're betting these, it's roughly around a 20% average ROI on your bets. So I take advantage of them every single time.
And dude, and you say that so nonchalantly, that's an insane ROI, right?
Yeah.
That is. You started the show off talking about a 5%, almost 5 or 6% on what you put in every month or something like that. I ran the math on. I don't have all of it. It's a profitable bet, 100%. I mean, it definitely is. That doesn't mean you're going to win today. Whenever. But if you place that enough times over the year, you will 100% make money, in my opinion.
So my favorite thing ever, which I was the one that figured out the problem with the system, was the same game parlay insurance, where they didn't put restrictions on it. It's just like 3 game same game parlay has to be over like plus 400 odds. So with football, I think it was when they had it, I would bet like the alt over, like the highest or the lowest odds all over. So it's like minus 1,000 over 21.5 points, and whatever team plus 25 points. So like both those are minus 10,000 bets. So essentially worthless. But if you hit 2 out of 3, which those two hit 95% of the time, if you hit 2 out of 3, you automatically get your money back. If you hit 3 out of 3, you win. So I would just do that parlayed with a first touchdown. And I think there was not a single time where I didn't at least get my money back. I think I made probably off of $25 bets off of 10 weeks. I think it was, I ended up making like $2,000. Granted, I ran pretty hot.
If you can essentially free roll plus 500 or greater odds at things, that's incredible, right? I mean, because that's essentially what you were doing. You were free rolling and then taking a first touchdown, which for most people are plus 500 and better, plus 400 and better, that sort of thing for first touchdown. So I mean, that's the way to do it, to put in that to free roll just upside.
So, guys, if you haven't signed up for Discord already, go ahead and do that. I figured out that's an easy way to kind of give you all the bets that I've made on this show. I'm going to do it right now. Drop it in the live stream chat. The bets that I have, the sites that it's on, it's pretty much everything in this document here that I have bet. Boom, it's all in there. So you guys can keep track of it. If you can't see the page, then that's fine. But yeah, it's all in there. We're just going to go through the rest of the bets here. Treyman, Dort over 2.5. Treyman over 13.5 points. Dort over 18.5 points. Dort over 2.5 threes. All of them great odds plus odds. Siakam over 4.5 assists. I think this is one that you were on also. I can't remember. Or no, the RG model here, prop model, which it gets more accurate throughout the day. So wait and see. Like it'll be all the best picks will be written up, but right now it has Oubre over 2.5 3-pointers. I think they took down that line because it got bet so hard. Podol, Siakam, Podol. It loves Podol today. Like it loves all the Podol bets. That's its favorite. Harrison Barnes under 2.5. Yeah.
Tough not to.
Yeah. Harrison Barnes under 2.5 3-pointers. Davion Mitchell under 2.5 3-pointers. I bet Okoro over or under 11.5 points / assists. Not a huge fan of the Mobley bet. Not a huge fan of the Vooch bet, but I think I might have already bet it. But yeah, Davion Mitchell. That's Donovan Mitchell over 2.5 threes. And then Keldon Johnson over 14.5 points is another one that I ended up betting. Guys, again, if you want anything you guys want us to see on this show, we're almost out of time, or we're almost to the end of it. So anything you want us to go over before we get out of here, just go ahead and throw it in. But go ahead and go over. I think you have 2 more bets.
I've been betting the Dort PRA and points every single day. Now it started at like 16.5 or something, and he was at 25.5, 24 for a while. I don't know what the PRA is now. I have Dort 18.5 as well. I also have Anthony Davis 22.5. I just think 22.5 is 1 or 2 too low personally in a game that I kind of like. Anthony Davis such a bad game yesterday, just barely missed it. Basically beats that every day. 22.5 is why I bet it. If it was at 23.5, I was honestly probably going to pass. But I just think it's one or two too low. So I took that. I also have Anthony Wiggins at 16.5. I'm not a huge fan of Anthony Wiggins in general, but I got it at plus 100 on BetMGM, where he was at minus 125, and he's probably at minus 115 or something, if I were to guess on BetMGM right now.
He is at minus 115, so you got it at the right time. And Anthony Davis moved all the way to 23.5. We actually still like that bet quite a bit. I'm probably going to bet that right now and add it.
Yeah, so I mean, those two, again, it just comes down to math. Like I try to think about the blowouts and our projections. You have to be careful. It's very similar to when I'm talking to Cardi and the Blitz. Like, so much of it goes into these projections that you don't want to add something into the algorithm 2 or 3 times, that sort of thing, because they're already taking into account the Vegas lines and all of that. So I just think Anthony Davis at 22.5, there's enough there. Wiggins at 16.5 at plus 100. When the entire market was at minus 130, minus 125, it felt good. I'm looking. I don't have tons and tons of bets. I probably only have 15 or maybe 15 so far, and we've already touched on a lot of them. My flag plant was really podal today, which probably means that not going to be a good day after going on a show and just absolutely smashing him with every single prop that they offer. But that's just what it is. I think the one, I don't know if you bet it or not. I don't think we talked about it. I kind of am considering Curry. I think if he's still sitting at 23 or at 24.5, I think there is still some value there. Again, I tend to think about games. I love the idea of these two just going back and forth. I know that's narrative and all of that, but it's not just that. It's that the market. The last I'm pulling it up right now, so I'm going to try to fill in some time. But I saw that our projections liked it as well, and then the Pinnacle has 25.5 at minus 122. You can get it at DraftKings at minus 110, and it's basically minus 130 or around there at most other places. So I do think there is some value there. It's Curry. We've seen him just shooting awful kind of lately, kind of been all over the place, but I definitely can see him and Mitchell going back and forth in a game that I like a lot. So if you're kind of needing action and want another bet, that's more on the lower tier of mine, but I don't think it's a bad one.
Yeah, no, without Thompson there, Wiggins is a pretty solid bet. Someone talking about overs here or blowouts here. Yes, the Raptors could be a blowout. That's why the only line I bet is Siakam over 4.5. I think that's just he should be able to get that easily in 3 quarters. He's been hitting that at a pretty heavy clip. Lakers game, another game that could be a blowout. I think the line's currently sitting at 9, but I honestly prefer the Portland side of the game. Portland's horrendous right now, but so are the Lakers, and they're on the second end of back-to-back. But
and I mean, we talk about it all the time. If the Lakers blow them out, I agree. That is why I didn't want the Wiggins or the Davis number to be too big. But I mean, they still have to score points to blow somebody out. Yeah. We always talk about that. So
it's different when it's the what's it called? The favored team, the heavily favored team. You want to stay away with blowouts. A lot of times you want to stay away from the big underdog and betting the over on their props. But with the favorite team, like, points have to be scored regardless. Yes, they may not play the fourth, but if they blow them out drastically, then that probably means that Davis had a pretty decent game. I mean, could play LeBron, but lastly, I highlighted the best bets over at Caesars, or the best boosts over at Caesars. This one's actually on, Saturday. Just checking the odds against FanDuel, like FanDuel odds. If you parlay these 4 together, they were saying at like minus or plus 1280. So offers pretty solid. Like this one was saying at plus 500. So a little bit of edge there. This one was saying at like plus 650. So big edge this one. This one was saying at like plus 530 on other sites. So good enough boost for me.
The last one that I want to mention is, and I'm just a huge fan of it. I mean, watching the games, always sweating total bets and stuff. Murray, 8.5 assists. Pinnacle has it at 163. It's minus 150 or minus 158 at FanDuel. And on BetMGM, it's minus 130. If you were to look at Murray's assists over the past month. I mean, smashing 8.5 on. Yeah, please pull. I mean, it's.
Yeah, he's been hitting at a pretty consistent clip. He's had a triple double a lot of times, and he's like, yeah, what?
I mean, look at his assists in the past, and it's sitting at 8.5. So he hasn't missed it in 10 straight games or something, right? Whatever that is. It's so small on my screen. But so Pinnacle has it at -163, sharpest sportsbook in the world. All the other books, Caesars, DraftKings -150, even higher on FanDuel, and BetMGM is currently at -130. So, I mean, I just think that there is line value at BetMGM there.
Yep, I'm right there with you. I'm probably going to bet that after we get off the air here. But, Jordan, thanks for joining us. Guys, thanks for watching. Again, we'll be back again on Friday. I think we might have good old Daniel Shovelson on the show with me then. But, Jordan, appreciate you coming on, and I'm sure I'll be talking to you throughout the day in Slack.
I'm sure I'll be messaging you in 2 seconds with another bet. So, thanks for having me.
All right. Yep, thanks for coming on, guys. We're out of here.